Salam alaikum alaikum salam Estado Matamba. We're doing a video on the hierarchy within the Inso Congo, within Palo Monte or Palo Mayombe in Cuba. So that's what we're going to be doing a video on. I'm not planning to go real in depth within, the hierarchy within the Inso Congo due to, because it's secrets. There is secrets. I would love to put pictures and orientate and show, but I cannot do that. So, there won't be pictures because all of these different positions, right? That's what there are, positions or jobs within that in So Congo have patipembas and have treaties or agreements, tratado, and all of these things. And I can't put that online. I really can't. That's, for your godfather to orientate you. But I'm just making a very simple video. So because most of all was requested, and two is to orientate so you guys can kind of understand what goes on inside of an Inso Congo, inside of a Munanso, inside of a Palo house. We're going to go ahead and start with the 7 positions in a Inso Congo, or the 7 positions within a Munanso, los siete oficios del Munanso Congo, which is the talanquera, the baconfula, the misionero, the manzanero, the guardián en ganga, el mayordomo, el tata mayor, or tata en kisi is the same name. And then they have the padre en ganga, and they also have the tata sambe. They have that one also. But you don't hear that one too much often. But it's the 7 Oficio Congo, right? That they have these 7 here. Every household, or at least within Briumba, they have this. I don't know about other Nsingaticandas, right? Other lineages like Mayombe, the Changani, Santo Cristo Un Viaje, Kimbisa, these other lineages, I don't know if they run things like that in their household. But within Briumba, for sure we do. Briumba, for sure, this exists. And, there, when you get initiated, your godfather will put you in these different positions for you to obtain the knowledge. And each one is backed up within an Nkisi. And he'll let you, a talanquera, if you put you in the position of talanquera, you'll understand the role that you'll play and you'll gain knowledge in there. When you become a baconfula, you don't have to become a baconfula, but misionero or manzanero or whichever one that he puts you in, you'll learn and understand ese oficio until you end up, leaving the house and, becoming an nganga yourself, a specialist, and having your own munanso and running it the way that you want to with the same lineages. It all is all up to you. But this is within Briumba, at least how it was practiced in Cuba. Los siete oficios del Congo, the 7 positions within and So Congo. And we'll go ahead and start with La Talanquera, right? And the role of the member of the talanquera, right? He should know the path and treaties of Lucero. He should know how and when to open the talanca, very important. He should know how to communicate properly in the Kikongo, or in the secret initiation language, right? And he should know where and how to leave offerings in the path when you go somewhere. Okay. The talanquera, this is very above the surface because, I can't go such in depth. All of these oficios or all these positions have rituals and patipembas and things to them, more secrets to them. I can't give that out. But for sure, the talanquera should know the language, especially when you go to a Munanso house. You just can't open the doors. There's going to be locked and you have to knock. And somebody's going to ask, Kinani Kwenda, whatever thing they're going to say, and you're going to have to respond with your name because they need to know who you are and what you're doing and all of these things. Very important. And then after you're in there, most of the time they make you put patipembas down, or your sigil, who you are, where you're coming from, all of these things. So that whoever's the talanquera, if you get initiated and they put you as a talanquera, you need to understand this and you need to know this. So you need to understand what the person is speaking to you on the other side of the door, and how to communicate back and forth, and knowing it, and know who it is. If it's your godfather, if it's this, if it's that, all of these things. If it's the police, all of these things. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that go into it. Or it's somebody, who went crazy outside, or you never know. But at least in the slave trade, that's how, when things were being done in the slave trade in Cuba, you never knew if it was, the owners were going inside El Bohío or inside the house, and they'll knock on the door, and you got to make sure, oh no, I can't open this door because, they're going to see all our stuff in the ritual. So very important. Now let's go ahead and get into the Bakunfula. So the Bakunfula, the rule of the member, right? He's the right-hand man of the Padre Nganga, of the Godfather. He's in charge of the Inkisi when the Padre Nganga isn't present, right? When the Godfather isn't around, he's in charge of the Inkisi and also the Mayordomo. But we can go ahead and say that. He can punish members who disrespect the household. Yep. The Godfather's not around, or if there's issues between certain people, or they disrespect the Fumbes, or the Godfather's doing other things or other stuff, he can punish Hijal or whoever was acting out. He holds the secrets and more of the stronger medicine. Yeah. The Bakunfula, it has a lot to do. There's a lot of things with the Bakunfula, El Caimán, and the ceremonies, and a bunch of things. Most houses, if you're a Bakunfula, or the right way is that you can't have an Inkisi, right? You can't. You take care of your godfather's Inkisi. But yeah, he'll hold more of the stronger medicine. He'll have more of those stronger treaties or tratados, the strong ones, the negative ones, because it has to do a lot with Sarabanda. He loves, that's an Inquisio, used to go for war and all of these type of things, even though you can use them for medicine, but he'll have that. Now, the misionero, the role of the member, right? He needs to know how and when to clean up after the spiritual cleanings, very important. He needs to know how to clean after a ritual, and he needs to guard the materials during and after a ritual. Yes, if you do a spiritual cleaning, or you've done a ritual to take cancer or tumors or anything negative off a person, now it's stuck in the munanso, it's stuck in the room. He's in charge of removing that, and he needs to know how to do that. If not, it can have negative effects within the kanda, the community. And also during initiations or other things that other tatas from other houses might come to be a part of, right? They come to participate. The misionero is always watching, making sure that all the materials are not being taken, or things are not being taken from strangers or other tatas, because they can use that to, do negative medicine to your godfather. So very important. Misionero, another important oficio Congo, another important position within the Munanso Congo. And it has to do a lot with Coayende. Now, the manzanero, right? The role of the member, right? He needs to know how to work in Camposanto. He needs to know how to work with the Ndundu or Infumbe, overall, any Inkisi. And he needs to know how to bring confirmation of the ritual in the Ensara. The manzanero needs to know how to make the bilongo, right? That has to do with certain bones, animal bones, or Infumbe, Kriyumba, all these things. He needs to know how to go to the cemetery and do the rituals and the things that you have to do in the cemetery according to that insignia de Kanda. Very extremely important. And he needs to know how to bring confirmation, right? Because if your padrino lives in a very rural part, like back in Cuba, he used to live in La Loma or live somewhere else, and he did medicine for somebody that lived in the city, how would he ever know? Most of the time, the manzanero would find out, from ear to ear or from gossip or whatever. He would always find out because the spirits would let him know. He was most mediums and this type of people who are more psychic, they take this position because they speak to the spirits. And he'll let the tata know, hey, I heard this. or he'll let the Godfather know, right? The Padre Nganga, hey, the spirits told me this, or I heard this, Padrino. And about this ritual, we did it already had its effect. So it's very important. This is a very important position also. And it has a lot to do with Centella or Centella Indoki. So let's go ahead and get into Guardian Nganga. The role of the member, right? He needs to know how to guide the Ngeyo and other members. He needs to know the process to give life in the Munanso. He needs to know how to work with those water spirits. And he needs to know how to do ensadas in the river and all this case. This is a very important Oficio Congo, the guardian Nganga, because he's the one who most of the time keeps those social network or those ties together and make sure the new members are oriented and understand their role and what they have to do. And this position has to do a lot with Cholawenge, who knows about the tradition and practice. Know that Cholawenge is a very extremely powerful Nkisi. That's right there. That's for Tata's secret card. When none of the Nkisis can do anything, that Nkisi always comes out and helps out. Cholawenge or Mama Chola, extremely powerful. Every Tata, adores that Nkisi, because when things hit the fan and not even your primary Nkisi wants to resolve, that Nkisi comes out always, fighting or taking responsibility for those issues, and that Mfumba is going to resolve. Very, very, very important. That Nkisi is extremely important. Now let's go ahead and get into the Mayordomo. So the Mayordomo, the role of the member, right? He is the same as a Tata Mayol. He needs to know everything, right? So he plays the same role. He needs to know everything from sacrifices to everything in the book. And he's a witness and is in charge if the Padre Nganga isn't present. He is also in charge if the Padre Nganga isn't present or Tata Nkisi isn't present. That's the people we'll look up to a little bit more, El Mayordomo. One thing that I can say about this position, has to do a lot with Kalunga, Madre Agua, very important role. But is basically almost the same as the Tata Mayol. Let's go ahead and get into that. The Tata Mayol or the Tata Nkisi, the role of this member. He needs to know how to sacrifice animals. He needs to know how to operate an initiation. He needs to know how to operate any sada, any spiritual job. And the Padre Nganga is higher in the hierarchy than the Tata Nkisi. That's the actual Godfather. The Tata Nkisi or Tata Mayol has to do with Siete Rayo and Sasi. And all of these oficios or all these positions, right? They all have patipimbas. They all have a ritual behind them. They all have ceremonies. They all have cantos. They all have songs. It goes very in depth, at least within Briumba. I can't put all of that stuff. I can't put pictures. I can't do that because that would be spilling the secrets. Because we're speaking about things that are happening inside of Munanso Congo. And that, I can't speak about that. I really can't. And you guys have to understand me. I give the most information that I can, but I can't go in depth. But this is what you should be looking at when you get initiated into a household. The Godfather should have a team. Oh, and another thing, right? I know when I did the PowerPoint, there's a lot of he needs to know this, he needs to know that. There can also be a she, a yaya can take role under these positions, especially El Guardian Nganga or Mayordomo, or these certain things that have to do with other Nkisis like Kalunga or Cholawenge. Any Nkisi, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it really doesn't. She can take these roles also. Talanquera, it can be a woman also. That's an Ngeya, right? She's learning. Most houses are not going to do that, though. Most houses are really not. They're not. They're going to hold down the women for the yayas out there, look for a good godfather. There are many out there that I spoke with that they give lemba or lendo or ngolo, right? Force or energy or power to the woman. And, most tatas got it messed up in their head. Women, they're a lot more stronger spiritually than us men. I don't know. That's the Bakongo believe that, and I truly believe that. I experienced that, So the 7 positions in the Congo, they're all mirrored by a fundamento, or they're actually in Kisi, right? So these 7 Ngangas, or these 7 fundamento, have something called a branch that comes out of them, a gahu. And there's 105 gahus that come out of it, or it's 105 branches. And then you sum up 105 branches to each one is 735 branches with 101 caminos or encilas to each one of those branches. So there's a lot of tratado, a lot of mysteries to Nkisi Malongo, the same way there's a structure in the Kuinseki, or in this physical realm inside of that Munanso, there's a structure in Kuimpemba, or in the spiritual realm, in the realm of those spirits. And the same way we have a Tata Mayol, we have a Mayol Domo, we have a Talanquera, the same way those in Fumbes, right? There's one that's a Talanquera, like Lucero, Tata Mayol es Siete Rayo, el Mayol Domo tiene que ver con Kalunga, has to do with Kalunga, and so forth and so on. Is a mirrored image. That's why I always said, the same way your godfather teaches you is the same way your godfather's spirit teaches your spirit, whether you're in Singatikanda. It's very important, very extremely important. Now I want you guys to think this over, look at it, do your studies. I didn't put any pictures due to the secrets and all of that. Forgive me for that. There's pati bembas and a bunch of things behind all of these positions. I can't speak about that. And I want you guys to always remember, in Singatikanda Ninga Katu Bukako, the community's umbilical cord should never be cut. It should be strengthened. In other words, always do what's right. Never, fall victim to the negativity and any of these things. So the further generation, or anybody who's coming to practice these things, can follow the light, or can follow a better path than what you got into. Thank you guys for your time. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions or any suggestions for other videos. Salam alaikum, alaikum salam.